Imagine spending millions of dollars and years of painstaking engineering to develop a perfect AI medical assistant, only to wake up one morning and find out that Google, OpenAI, or even Epic Systems have just released the same exact feature for free, natively within their platform. Now, this is the brutal, unforgiving reality of the middleware trap. And right now, 99% of healthcare AI startups are walking blindly into it, completely unaware that the entire business model is about to evaporate. I'm Dr. G, the founder of The Career, an AI company specializing in healthcare, and today we are tearing down the illusion of the AI competitive mode. So recently, the technology world is absolutely shaken by the launch of Publicity Computer. You must have heard about that, a seemingly incredible futuristic agentic product that literally takes over your screen to perform complex multi-step tasks. Now, it looks like you must see the future of human-computer interaction, but here's a stark, of course, the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to admit. Excellent execution on the wrong layer of the AI tech stack will not save your company. All right, so Publicity AI has built a fundamental product, we must say arguably the best agentic interface we've seen up until date. But their core reasoning engine runs on direct competitors' foundational models. So today, we're going to take a massive tectonic shift in general AI strategy and translate them directly to the healthcare sector. Now, we're going to rigorously evaluate what survives, what dies, and how clinical workflows will fundamentally change by the end of 2026. So if you're a physician trying to understand, which tools to adopt, you're a healthcare executive making procurement decisions, you're a medical student, or you're just someone who is interested in healthcare, looking at the future of the profession, or a healthcare technology investor, of course, placing bets on where your money should go to, you need to understand the common industry narrative of multi-model orchestration as a competitive mode, of course, is a fairy tale. So the reality is far from dangerous. Every single foundational model provider you depend on is simultaneously building the exact products you are currently competing with. So let's start by dissecting the whole middleware squeeze. To understand this, we have to look at the architecture of the AI stack, right? At the absolute bottom layer of that, you have foundational models, you have the hyperscalers like, of course, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, and Meta. Now, these companies are spending billions of dollars on compute infrastructure to build raw intelligence. Now, at the top layer, you have those context platforms where a lot of us belong. Now, these are operating systems, the mobile devices, and the realm of medicine, the EHRs like Epic, Senna, and Athena Health. These platforms own the end user distribution. They firmly, kind of own the physician screen time. Now, middleware is anything that sits in the squishy middle between the raw intelligence and the final context platform. All right. So in healthcare, we saw massive, unprecedented boom of middleware companies over the last 2 years. Think of the hundreds of AI medical scribes, generic symptom checkers, the patient summarization tools, and the chart interfaces, right? Their businesses the model is simple. They take an API from an OpenAI, build a nice user interface, add a few medical symptom prompts, and sell it to doctors for $99 a month. Now, but the squeeze is coming rapidly. And it is coming from both directions. From below, the hyperscalers, they are getting incredibly hungry for tokens and revenue. Now, they are not, their content is they don't just want to be API providers. They are releasing native computer-facing tools that do exactly what the middleware does. From above, the context platforms, the EHRs that firmly control the hospital IT budget, are simply integrating those same models directly into the native software. So, in your entire healthcare AI business model, if all you're doing is taking clinical notes, passing them into an LLM, and formatting the output, your business is functionally invincible. All right, your margins will be crushed to zero as soon as Epic flips a switch and offers that same exact feature natively to every hospital system on earth. So, as of April 2026, that has changed everything. Now, it hadn't the demand signals across the tech industry. It revealed exactly who is playing on multiple layers of the stack and who is trapped in the middle. Now, we realize that simply having a slightly better prompt, or simply a cleaner user interface for the doctor is a blind alley. Right, it's a total dead end. Doctors do not want another app to log into. Of course, they don't want to do that. They do not want another chatbot that they have to, of course, coerce into giving the right answers. They want autonomous, agentic workflows that act on their behalf securely, accurately, and without requiring manual oversight. All right, so How do you survive? How do you build a healthcare AI company that actually lasts the next decade, right? There are 4 structural positions that will survive the massive industry consolidation. And I'm going to go through that with you here today. So the first one I'm going to call the context platform, right? So to survive, you must own proprietary context that the foundational models cannot simply scrape from public web. Now, in healthcare, this means owning unique, secure, and longitudinal clinical data. It means integrating real-time physiological data streams from wearable, continuous glucose monitors, and pacemakers, as well as the local data for the community or the market you're targeting. It means holding proprietary genomic database or highly specialized local patient populations for us that are building for Africa. So, if you are AI, if your AI basically is ChatGPT and knows the reading Wikipedia or other open source journals there, you absolutely have no more. But if your AI is a platform that contains unique context, such as a massive hospital system, highly secure localized historical outcome data, you become invaluable. All right? You possess data that Google and OpenAI cannot legally touch. All right, so position number 2 is you want to be an infrastructure that the agents call. All right, as you move from conversational AI to agentic AI that actually perform tasks across the web, this agent needs hands and feet. They need infrastructure to interact with the physical and administrative world, right? So in medicine, an AI agent might correctly decide that a patient needs an MRI, but it cannot physically schedule it without a direct API into the radiological scheduling systems. So if you build a definitive HIPAA-compliant API layer for booking medical appointments, verifying complex insurance claims and prior authorizations in real time, or automatically routing electronic prescriptions to local pharmacies, you become the infrastructure, all right? You aren't competing with the AI brains. You are the digital tool bridge they must all cross to get anything done in the healthcare system. Now, the third position you want to take if you really want to thrive in this industry is that you have to own the customer workflow deeply. This is perhaps the most critical position, which is what Dokeran is trying to do. We're trying to own the workflow, right? And it is exactly the philosophy and the architecture upon which we build Dokeran. So you cannot just be a passive, just provide a passive tool that a doctor taps over when they just need a quick summary. You must be the very environment in which the clinical work happens. You must own the workflow so deep that removing your software will fundamentally break the clinic's ability to operate. So at Dokeran, we recognized the middleware trap very early on. We didn't just build a generic medical chatbot. We built a real-time care companion API designed for telehealth and clinical consultation. Now, I want to think about the bulk of what a physician actually does, during the whole patient intake up until making a decision, deciding where the patient goes to. It's an exhausting, repetitive process of taking history, formulating differential diagnosis, summarizing that history for the chart, and outlining management options. Super repetitive. Dokeran embeds directly into the workflow. So as the telehealth season begins, Dokeran is actively taking the patient history. All right, it is listening, it's analyzing, and it's providing the physician with real-time differential diagnosis right there on the screen. By the time the doctor is ready to speak to the patient, Dokeran has already summarized every single detail it has about the patient history and suggested evidence-based management options that is peculiar to the market of this patient. All right, whether a middleware simply passing data to an LLM, we are automated intake and clinical reasoning layer that seamlessly integrate into the telehealth infrastructure. And that's what I'm telling you to do if you are in this sector. You have to grow by owning the deep clinical workflow. Dokeran becomes indispensable, an extension of the physician's cognitive process. Right? We save the doctor's hours of time, drastically reducing their cognitive load. And of course, we also decrease diagnostic errors. So if you want to survive the AI war beyond 2026, all right, and you are in the health building sector, you must weave your technology so intimately into the fabric of patient care that you are no longer viewed as a software subscription. You're no longer viewed as something that anyone can put out and take on another thing. You become the essential infrastructure on which the system runs. All right, so position number 4, you may consider taking if you want to survive in this sector beyond 2024, right? You have to own the trust and the verification layer. In the consumer world, basically, if an AI hallucinates a recipe for chocolate chip cookies, right, your dessert was going to taste bad. It's a minor inconvenience. In the medical world, if an AI hallucinates a drug dosage, misses a lethal contraindication, or fabricates a differential diagnosis and a patient dies, and the physician faces a massive malpractice liability, the hyperscalers are building general purpose models that are inherently prone to all these probabilistic errors and clinical hallucinations. Therefore, a highly defensible and a lucrative position in healthcare AI is owning trust and verification layer. Right, this means building systems that rigorously fact-check LLM output against peer-reviewed medical literature, clinical guidelines, and FDA database in real time. So if your platform can guarantee clinical safety, can manage your software as well as a medical device, also comply with all regulatory compliances, and provide full cryptogenic audit trails for every AI-generated medical recommendations, our healthcare systems, of course, they will pay a massive premium for your shield of liability. Right, so now let's take a look at about some of the blind alleys, right? The strategy that look incredibly promising to tech founders, but actually are fatal traps in healthcare. The first blind alley here is what we call prompt engineering. 2 years ago, having highly complex proprietary prompts seemed like legitimate competitive advantage. It was literally business for many people. Buy prompts, all those prompting was super business. Today, foundational models are so advanced that they can generate and optimize their own system prompts. So if your healthcare startup is secret sauce, secret sauce all around the whole prompting thing, you're already long gone. Clever set of instructions are hidden behind every API call. You will be rendered obsolete in a matter of months. The second blind alley is the nice UI interface fallacy. Building beautiful, sleek dashboard for doctors to view AI summaries is great until Epic, Senna, and of course, Meditech updates are all come and they provide the same thing. EHR owns the distribution channels. You cannot win a distribution war against an enhanced monopoly by just having a better graphic design and a nice dark model or maybe a beautiful app. All right. The third blind alley is multimodal orchestration. Many startups claim their primary value is that they intelligently route clinical queries to cloud, GPT-4 or Gemini, depending on specific medical tasks. But model providers are lowering the cost. They are improving speeds and they are enhancing reasoning capabilities so rapidly that the margin of efficiency you gain through orchestration is vanishing. Furthermore, the hyperscalers themselves will eventually offer native orchestration of their own specialized submodels. So, what does a durable, defensible position look like as we move through 2026 and into 2027? It looks like agentic AI that operates invincibly in the background, right? We're rapidly moving away from the era where doctors have to actively type into or maybe consult the AI. The AI of the future, the exact paradigm we are pioneering in the career, anticipate the clinical need. It performs the tedious administrative tasks, the preliminary diagnostic heavy lifting, and the documentation formatting before the physician even asks. All right, so the future of healthcare AI belongs exclusively to those who control the endpoint of care. It belongs to platforms that possess proprietary data, facilitate real-world clinical actions, and absolutely can guarantee medical accuracy. All right, and a deeply irrevocable one is able to own the physician workflow. If you do that, you're in business. All right, so if you're building in this space, stop focusing on the raw intelligence of the model. That's becoming a commodity. All right, start focusing on the friction in the clinic. Find the most painful, time-consuming liability, reading part of course the doctor's day, and build an agent that eliminates all of that completely. And thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the AI middleware trap and its profound implications for the future of medicine. I remain Dr. G, and at Docerian, we're making this happen, right? We're building the intelligence, we're raising the workflow, integrated care companion that will define the next decade of global health. If you find this clinical analysis valuable, please engage with the content, share your thoughts, right? Get this across other doctors, other people building tech, and let me know what you think. In the meantime, I would love to hear what you think in the comment section. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe on your way out. See you again on the next deep dive.